You are looking live at the Nasdaq daily chart, and you can see that it has made this three legs down correction and then rallied back through its moving averages and now is in a power trend. Last week had a little bit of a expectation breaker, a welcomed one, because on the 29th, we had this inverted hammer candle and it followed through to the downside back to its 10 EMA the next day. But then on Wednesday, December 6th, so this is Wednesday the 29th, Wednesday, December 6th, we had a similar inverted hammer candle and it's below the 10, and my expectation was that it would come down further on Thursday, but it didn't. It rallied, it gapped up and rallied on Thursday and rallied again on Friday. And the Nasdaq is looking really good. It could not trade above this 14,446 from July 19th. It's made a couple of efforts here. On the 29th, that reversal day, it was at 14,423. Then on Friday, it got up to 14,416. So it needs to trade through there and make a new high, at least for me, for my intents and purposes. I wanted to trade above this 14,446, and obviously the the next line, this is the Nasdaq weekly here. It's right there, it needs to power through there, and then the next level would be the 14,646, and that was from back in April of 2022. So that takes you back, nearly 20 months. Anyway, we're going to keep an eye on the Nasdaq. Now, the S&P has also been up 6 weeks in a row here, and this one did trade above the July 27th high of 4,607. Let me get back over here to the daily chart. There it is, July 27th. 4,607, and on Friday it traded at 4,609 and closed at 4,604. So the S&P is doing a little better than the Nasdaq, and the one that I am most interested in is the Russell, because if this rally is going to have legs and be legitimate and have a long-term gains, we need the Russell to participate, have it spread out into a more risk and growthier names, and some of the smaller cap stocks are performing really well. I'll get to that in a little bit, but Russell, it reversed on that Wednesday as well, got up to 1888, and then on Friday could not take out the high. It got 1,887, but anyway, it was up 12 points or 0.67% on Friday, so outperforming the Nasdaq is the Russell. I'm bullish, not just because I want to be a perma bull. I'm bullish because these large cap, mega cap technology stocks are set up in bases. This is Apple, and it's consolidated since July. You're looking at 6 months of consolidation. It's formed this cup with handle pattern. It looks like it's started to break out already. Microsoft, pretty similar action here. Nice cup pattern. I mean, this has been consolidating since July 19th was the day that the Nasdaq made the high. So these are the ones that are going to drive the index. Meta, same thing. A lot of consolidation here. Long period, pulled back to its 50, squatted there a few days, and now traded back above its moving averages. So Meta looks good as well. So that's why I'm thinking these stocks can drive the index higher. There's no reason why the index can't go higher, and these stocks can trade higher. The investors have been buying these stocks all year, and I don't think they're going to stop now. This is Google with the cup with handle, pretty pronounced pattern there, and near a buy point. Amazon as well, set up in long periods of consolidation, set up trading tight now. Amazon looks good. Tesla was flagging a little bit here. Yeah, this trading tight too. This one looks good as well. You can see the double bottom pattern, and the last one is NVDA. Have this on my ready list. Like Meta, it pulled back to its 50 and squatted there for a few days, but then now it's starting to move. So that one looks good. AMD, this is one that I bought because Lisa Su was talking on Wednesday, was down to like 116, they were introducing their new product, and it went down. So I said, heck, this is near a buy point. It's got a pretty pronounced cup with handle pattern here. So, and it shot right up to 130. This is a weekly review, so I should be showing weekly charts, but trying to run through this quickly today as I gotta hit the road. But AMD was up 6%, closed at 128.92. You can still see that cup shape pattern. Wouldn't be surprised if it pulled back. Had a 3 weeks tight there, pulled back 1 week, but it wouldn't surprise me. And after that big move, if it pulled back to its 21 like it did here, we'll see. It's probably going to be, AMD is a tough trade for me, so I'll see how long I can hold this thing. But it looks good, and I have a good entry price. The other one that I like, but they reported earnings Thursday after the close and had a nice response here on Friday. This is Broadcom. It was up 2.3%. It did trade down to like 9.10. The earnings reactions have been kind of wild recently, but Broadcom looks good, and the other semiconductor stock that I like is MCHP Technology. Nice consolidation here, trading sideways, and now starting to push off its 10. Bounced off its 10 EMA, so MCHP looks good as well. Anyway, that's it for the semiconductors. I've got to get to the software names that broke out, because I bought 4 of them. The big mega cap technology stocks are great, but you're not going to hit grand slams with them. I want to hit a couple of grand slams here. And so you're going to have to buy these stocks. I made a video about the IPOs that came out since 2019, and some of them are going to excel, some are going to bomb, but you got to take a swing at them, I believe. And this is one that I bought Elastic on the day of its breakout. It was up, nicely. I think this one's performing the best. That's why I showed it first. To go to the weekly, it was up 5% last week after this big move on December 1st, which was the Friday. It was up 37%. Nice move. Followed through last week with 5% move. IoT is another one, and wasn't thrilled with its performance last week. I'm going to hang on to it. You can see this cup shape. It blasted out of a base. These all are, trading out of bases here. So that's why I bought them. I didn't buy them just for the heck of it. They are in bases and breaking out of bases. So maybe it'll find support at the 10. We'll see. UiPath is another one. This one traded down. Now I was going to get rid of it if it traded below its low of that gap day, which is 22.13, but it didn't. Give me a little scare on Thursday, but I held on to it and had a nice day on Friday. I like this little pullback pattern here. So, you got to embrace pullbacks. Your stocks are going to pull back and give you a chance to add there. Anyway, that was a nice little flag there for like a week. If you look at the weekly, it's hoping it would be a short stroke pattern, but that's too much of a gap right there. But you could see this is coming out of a base, a long period of consolidation. So the bigger the base, the higher in space. Hopefully for UiPath. GTLB did not like the action of this one. It did break out of a base, but it closed, in the middle of the range on what was it, the 5th? Yeah, closed in the middle of the range there at 63%. It's okay. It's hanging in there. Having trouble with that 60 level, but I didn't buy that one. It gapped out of a base, and it's doing nothing wrong. I would not entertain it if it traded below the low of that 55.19 of the gap day. But yeah, GitLab still looks good to me. Sentinel-1, this is another one that I bought, gapped out of a base. I like this space, the software security space. I'm going to get to those in a minute, but it gapped higher. 16%, not bad, with nearly 400% above average daily volume. Continued, to trek higher. We got some buyers here. So that one looks good to me. And if you want to take a look at it on the weekly, this is stage 1. It's emerging from a stage 1. So that's another reason why I bought this. This thing has the potential, it only has a market cap of 7 billion. And you got to take a swing at a couple of these, I believe, if you could hit grand slams. If you just want to make a few bucks, then you buy Apple and Microsoft. They're not going anywhere. They're safe havens. But want to take a swing, a big swing. BRZE. Now this one did not break out of a base. It had already broken out. We had this at a buy at like 48 and it ran up. So when it had earnings, had good earnings, just traded down to the 21, then an inside day on Friday. I still like this stock. It's just it was already out of a base when it reported earnings. So it just pulled back, just, buy the rumor, sell the news type of thing for BRZE. But this is another one that, has potential. Once again, 5 billion market cap, not a real big company. Pins is one that I like. This is why you don't ignore these big gaps. This had a 19% gap, traded higher, and what all it's done, recently since that big gap is find support at its 10 consistently, finding support at the 10 and trading higher. So that is a nice trend for you trend traders. Datadog is another one that I like. I want to take a swing at this one. This looks like a good cup with handle, but if you look at the weekly, this is a weekly review. You can see this big consolidation, big handle, nice shake out there, and it's rallied up. So maybe last week, shook some people out. Maybe it'll come down to the 21, but another stock that could be a big winner. Cloudflare is another one. Set up in a base. You can see this long consolidation now pulling back. So I like that as well. Roblox, this one gapped out of a base on earnings, right? This double bottom base here. And I shouldn't say it gapped out of a base. It gapped up on earnings, nearly 12% with huge volume, then pulled back to its moving average. And now it's just trending and finding support each time, okay, at the moving average. So that one looks good to me. You can see the consolidation, long consolidation there on the weekly chart. What is it, 35 weeks or something? Yeah, so Roblox looks good to me, above 42.20, and it's got the standard of 46.25, but yeah, Roblox looks good. Anyway, I mentioned the software security named CrowdStrike. We had this at 1.6, so I got a really good entry on this. I dumped some before earnings, and then it gapped higher, unlike Zscaler and Palo Alto Network. So I had to buy it back at a higher price. But I just consider that as insurance. You buy insurance and you hope your house doesn't burn down, right? So CrowdStrike didn't burn down. It ramped higher. Now it's just trending along with its moving averages. So every time it pulls back here, we're going to see if it can find support, which it has been. Very consistent pattern with CrowdStrike. Zscaler's having trouble with the 200 level. It's just forming like after the earnings here, it's just forming like this shelf right below 200. So I'm thinking once it breaks through the 200 level, maybe it can run a little bit. Zscaler looks pretty good on the weekly as well. You can see this breakout of this stage 1 base there at that 143 level and just running higher. And so is Palo Alto Networks. You've heard a lot about the, or maybe you haven't, the breaches, at the casinos and Clorox and in our water systems. So these companies are very important to our lifestyle. And Palo Alto Networks had this bad reaction to great earnings report. I mean, this company is a cash cow. It traded down, 5%, all the way down to 234, then rebounded right back up to the top of the consolidation. Now is busted out, pulled back to the 10 one time, but it's kind of forming a shelf as well below that 300 level. So I like all those stocks. Okay, I'm going to move on from the cybersecurity into the home builders, and these things have been ramping even with interest rates rising this year. You could see it gapped up and then formed this shelf and now just ramping higher. So Toll Brothers, they had a earnings report last week, I believe, Toll Brothers. And these guys build luxury homes, higher end homes, more expensive homes. And you could see the big consolidation there and just strong stock, relative strength, real nice. Toll Brothers, Pulte Homes. So the next one I wanted to get to, another one that formed this shelf, it had this cup with handle pattern, broke out, then formed that shelf and pulled back to its 10. and now ramping higher. So these things are just textbook right here. These home builders, cup with handle, little shelf pattern, or you could call that a bull wedge pattern, whatever. This right here from the 130 back to the 10, and then finding support and then ramping higher. Nice move. DR Horton up 5.8% last week. These are looking good. MHO, another one, you can see the consolidation up 5% as well last week. This is a 3.2 billion market cap, not a big company. So it's good to see the rally broadening out and seeing some of these smaller names doing well in different groups. Speaking of which, I've got to get to my TG Therapeutics, TGTX. This one, we had it at buy at 1140. This is a high speculative play, multiple sclerosis drug. Ran up to its 200 last week and got rejected like Matambo. But as you can see on the weekly, I mean, it was up 13%. It's ramped here the last 4 weeks. This is an earnings report here. This big volume bar was better than expected earnings, and I think they're going to continue mashing these. The comps are real easy for this thing for the first part or the first half of 2024. So TG just have to, kind of they trade really volatile. I imagine it would come back to its 10 here, or maybe even the 21 and find support. Heavy short interest in this thing, like 35% short interest. So that one is going to, it's a tough one to trade, but when it moves, it really moves. Viking now, AbbVie bought out Camphor on Monday, I believe, and this one ramped higher because it has a better compound. I think it's got like 9 compounds or whatever of the weight loss drug. So these guys are going to apply for a FDA new drug approval in the first half of 2024, and they might be bought out before this. I don't like buying stocks and speculating that they're going to be bought out, but this is one that you might, because they have the superior compound, and the weight loss sector is going to just smash in 2024. There's a lot of drug companies that want to get into that space. And I know people think, oh, just go to the gym and eat right, and but that's not the way the world works. And these drugs are going to be like 100 billion market cap, total addressable market for these drugs. So another one, CRSP, and they had a drug approval on Friday for sickle cell. This is a new type of revolutionary science. It traded down to the 21 with the news, buy the rumor, sell the news, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that thing spring back. They collaborated with Vertex, and you could see this is stage 1 base. I believe this is a Cathie Wood stock. Not that matters, but drug approval is always good for a drug company. And this is Twist Bioscience. I believe this is another Cathie Wood stock, but I just like the chart pattern here. As you can see, the cup with handle, real tight trading, pull back to the 10, very consistent here, getting support at the 10. That's Twist Biosciences. I got to go to retail. My favorite sector has got to be the retail space. Love going to the crowded Lululemon store. Anyway, they reported earnings. The guidance, they sandbag guidance a little bit, and I think investors read into it. A pull back to its 10 and a ramped higher 5% on Friday. We had this thing on our buy list. We're back at 400 or 390. It's just moved. You can see how far it is now away from that pivot. So congrats to the longs there. Lululemon's just been a monster stock for a long time. Deckers, speaking of monsters, just go to the monthly on Deckers. This thing is just a beast. These guys bought Hoka shoe for $1 million in 2013, I believe. And I think it did 440 million at last quarter. They bought it for 1 million. It did 440 million last quarter. I'll say that again. One of the greatest buys ever. But this one broke out of a base. And this is why I pay attention to gaps. Earnings gaps higher. The gap that 443 to 485. You bought it anywhere in there that day. I mean, you're living large, right? You're in the penthouse view. pulled back to its 10 one day on a downgrade, and then it's just been ramping higher. I'm thinking it's probably going to form a shelf there around that 700 level. That is a big move. You know, whatever it was, 543 to 700. Congrats to the longs there, Deckers. What other one? Oh, Costco. Come on, the $1.50 hot dogs. This one traded a new high last week. You could see this big consolidation. Now it's moved out. This one is a monster as well. I had a friend who was a manager there said, you should buy this after they bought Price Club in the 90s. Never did, because I'm dumb that way. And the last one is not really a retail stock, but a firm. You know, the people are buying maybe Christmas presents and pay later, buy now, pay later. This one ramped out of a base here on earnings. Look at this textbook, you know, cup and pull back to the 10 and then just screams higher. It was up 11% last week after the breakout of 43% the week before. So that looks good as well. Anyway, that's it for me. Thanks for watching, except for I lie. I have one more thing in honor of the great Steve Jobs. One more thing, and that is the IPO market's doing a little better. I'm going to take a look at a few of the IPOs. I made a video on IPOs from 2019, but these are more recent. This is KVUE. This is a spinoff from Johnson & Johnson. And this one has, you know, sold off, obviously, but now starting to act a little better here as it goes through perhaps its, you know, due diligence phase. But KVUE is definitely one, gets a lot of volume, a lot of interest. It's got earnings, it's got sales, definitely a solid company. DBD, this is the Diebold, the, you know, the safe company or whatever. And this has formed a nice IPO pattern here and ramped higher, broke out recently. So that's definitely one to pay attention to. ARM is the semiconductor name. I think it's a little expensive, but you cannot deny this chart pattern. That is a thing of beauty. And the breakout on Friday. And the last one is BIRK. This company is old, really old, and they just IPO'd recently, sold off, formed this little base, and now, you know, made new highs recently. So BIRK is another one to watch. Anyway, I made a video, an IPO video, and I'm just going to stop right there because I got to go. And I just got to say thank you for watching. And at mcstockcharts.com, we never give up. Have a great weekend, everybody.